Okay, so picture this. You're at a grocery store, a restaurant, an airport, literally anywhere in Japan, and you brace yourself for the meltdown, the screaming kid, the flailing arms, the classic toddler chaos you've seen a million times back home. And it just doesn't happen. No tantrums. No public breakdowns. Just calm, quiet kids walking next to their parents like tiny, well-adjusted humans. And the first time you witness this, your brain genuinely short-circuits because it feels almost unnatural, like you stumbled into some parenting cheat code the rest of the world never got the manual for. But here's the wild part, it's not luck, it's not magic, and it's definitely not because Japanese kids are born different. It's a system. A deeply intentional, centuries-old approach to raising children that Western parenting culture rarely even talks about. And once you understand it, you'll never look at a crying toddler in a Walmart the same way again. So let's start with the foundation of it all, a concept called shitsuk. Now shitsuk doesn't really translate cleanly into English, but the closest thing would be discipline through embodiment, not punishment, not yelling, not timeouts in the corner, but discipline that's modeled, repeated, and absorbed almost like muscle memory. From the time kids are barely walking, Japanese parents aren't trying to control behavior in the moment, they're trying to build internal structure that lasts a lifetime. It's less "stop doing that" and more "this is simply how we move through the world." And that distinction is everything, because when a child learns self-regulation as an identity instead of a rule imposed on them, they don't need to throw a fit to test boundaries, the boundaries are already part of who they are. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because Japanese parenting leans hard into something called omoyari, which basically means empathy or consideration for others, but it's way deeper than just be nice. From a young age, kids are taught to constantly think about how their actions affect the people around them, the strangers on the train, the other diners at the restaurant, the elderly woman walking by. So when a toddler feels the urge to scream or cry in public, there's already this quiet, internalized awareness that their outburst doesn't just affect them, it disrupts the peace of everyone around them. And that's not guilt-tripping a 4-year-old, it's cultivating social awareness so early that emotional regulation becomes second nature instead of a battle. And honestly, this is where Tokyo-style efficiency sneaks into parenting too, because Japanese culture is obsessed with reducing friction, reducing chaos, reducing wasted energy, and that philosophy bleeds directly into how kids are raised. Parents don't overreact to small emotional dips, they don't dramatize tantrums into bigger events than they need to be, they stay calm, redirect attention, and let the moment pass without feeding it oxygen. It's almost like applying minimalism to parenting itself, stripping away the unnecessary drama and keeping only what actually matters: connection, calm, and consistency. Speaking of minimalism, that's another massive piece of this puzzle. Japanese households, especially with young kids, tend to avoid overstimulation. Less clutter, fewer toys scattered everywhere, fewer sugar-loaded snacks, fewer screens shoved in faces to keep kids quiet. And when a child's environment isn't constantly overstimulating their senses, their nervous system simply isn't as primed for meltdown mode in the first place. It's wild how something as simple as a decluttered living room can directly influence a kid's emotional baseline, but that's exactly the kind of intentional living Japan has mastered for generations. Then there's Kaizen, the philosophy of continuous, incremental improvement, and yeah, it absolutely applies to parenting too. Japanese parents aren't expecting perfect behavior overnight, they're playing the long game: small consistent corrections, small consistent praise, small consistent modeling, day after day after day. It's not about forcing immediate compliance, it's about shaping behavior gradually until self-control becomes the default setting instead of the exception. And when you stack tiny improvements over years instead of demanding instant results, you end up with kids who regulate themselves without needing constant external pressure. And underneath all of this sits ikigai, that deep, almost spiritual sense of purpose and belonging. Japanese parents work hard to make children feel like valued, capable contributors to the family unit, not passive little dictators whose every whim needs instant satisfaction. Kids are given small responsibilities early: cleaning up after themselves, helping at the table, contributing in tiny but meaningful ways. And when a child feels like a respected participant in their environment instead of the center of an indulgent universe, the desperate need to act out for attention naturally fades into the background. So when you zoom out and look at the whole picture, it's not that Japanese kids are wired differently, it's that the entire ecosystem around them, parenting style, social expectations, home environment, cultural values, all quietly work together to build emotional regulation from the inside out instead of forcing obedience from the outside in. And maybe that's the real lesson hiding in all of this, that raising calm, grounded, considerate humans isn't about controlling chaos in the moment. It's about patiently building the kind of internal foundation that makes chaos unnecessary in the first place. And honestly, whether you're a parent or not, that's a mindset shift worth carrying into your own life too, because real strength, real maturity, real peace, it's never loud. It's built quietly, one small consistent choice at a time.